Three. Now, I ain't even had no countdown. Boom, we here. Greetings and what up, though? It's your boy, Jason Jamerson, and welcome to the Jason Jamerson podcast. As always, I have with me my man, 100 grand, Kevin Jackson. What's going on, Kev?
What up, though, cuz? How you doing?
Oh, not much, man. You know me. And today we have a very special guest. We have therapist, counselor, and all around awesome individual, Ciera Renee of Elevated Counseling and Coaching. Did I say in the right order that time? Finally. There we go. Yes. How you doing, Ciera?
I'm doing real good. It's a little chilly in here, but it's okay.
Yeah, I'm in my basement freezing right now. I did not have this hoodie on at first, and I got the vent blowing directly in my face. So it's like, if my nose start running, you know why. But yeah, before we get into the good stuff, Kev, how was your weekend, brother?
Appreciate you asking. It was cool. Well, I wouldn't say cool. It was very, very hot, humid. If you're in the Midwest, I'm sure you got 90 plus, and maybe breaking 100. And so I definitely had that as well. So I tried to go out in the fun. Go out in the sun. It felt good on my skin. Our skin is built for this in some ways, right? And so it feels good after you get a little bit of that radiance coming through. I golfed a little bit as well. I've been trying to pick that up. Not great at all, but it's always a good time to have some camaraderie, kick it with some folks. And then watch a lot of basketball. I'm a big NBA fan, and so spend a lot of time in front of the TV or kind of checking the score. And so that's all I need in the summer post quarantine.
Yeah, at some point we got to update our playoff predictions because we definitely I'm definitely off on that one. Yeah, man, I got into a kiddie pool. Man, listen. So I haven't been swimming or nothing in like 2-3 years. So I got the same swim trunks. But I got like my legs is like football player legs now. Them boys was boxer briefs that I was in that pool in. So yeah, it was I definitely had to stay under the water the whole time. Cause I didn't want none of the things the Lord gave me to making the surprise appearance, But yeah, other than that, I got my hair retwisted. That was an all-day activity per usual. Shout out to Joy at Alta Beauty in Roseville. She get me together all the time. And that was about it. Man. Your boy ain't do much this weekend. I got booked for a lot of shows. I got a lot of stuff coming up now.
Okay.
I got booked for quite a few shows. I'll get into that after towards the end of the show when we talk about what it is that we got going on. Ciera, how was your weekend?
It was cool. It was eventful. My cousin had a birthday party. Yesterday was Sunday. I went over to a friend's house, watched a fight or exhibition or whatever. I don't want no smoke. I watched Floyd and Logan Paul do their thing, whatever that was.
Whatever that was.
Hung out downtown, which it was definitely. I haven't been downtown like since pandemic. The one time I did go downtown was like right in the middle of the pandemic, and it was like you could see tumbleweeds. And then when I went this weekend, I was like, "Where's all these people coming from?" It was just so different, like polar opposite everywhere. I was like, "Wow!" So we not in the pandemic. We out. We good. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, they most definitely out here wilding.
They was out there like I've never seen that. It looked like whenever you do the fireworks, that's how thick it was down there. When we have our fireworks event, Independence Day, that's how deep it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. People been locked up in the house for so long. Mm-hmm. They just say, let me get out and do anything.
Like, outside with it.
Be outside. They just out there stunning their vehicles they got with their little PPP loan.
Now don't drop the shade. Why are you throwing the shade now?
Listen, I'm just saying. There's some people who ain't had no business. Literally, they had no business getting a PPP loan. And so Them was the ones that stunned the people who actually got it the right way. They the ones you still see in the house working their business the way they're supposed to.
Or the people who got a business and couldn't get one because all the money was gone.
That too.
A little better. Almost.
I mean, hey, that was me too. I got approved, and before they distributed the funds, they said, "Nah, we straight.
We out." They sent me an email like, "Oh yeah, we out." What?
Yeah, government straight up said we done. We ain't got no more money. But yeah. So once I'm trying to pull something up just to make sure I got some facts for certain things that we're gonna talk about. But yeah, Ciera, for those who don't know, as I said before, therapist counselor, a great one. I refer all my personal training clients to her. We actually work in the same office space. That's pretty. I found that to be a very interesting dynamic, but it's also very interesting in the period because we working in the same office. I'm pretty sure they can hear my music and me singing and acting a fool in the other room while she in there trying to work through people's life problems or whatnot. But yeah. So Ciera, what got you into? There's a few things I want to ask you. I know I did a little pre-screen phone call, and I'm about to ask you some things that I did not even tell you I was going to ask you. But it's not that deep. But there's a few things to ask you. Right. Well, first and foremost, what got you into therapy?
A mistake. It was an accident. It was an accident. I went to Can Christian Fellowship is the church that I belong to, and at the time there was an associate pastor, David Humphrey. He was the dean of students at Moody Theological Seminary, and he would come over, and they were offering kind of like a scholarship program to go to the school, and he was doing his job. He was selling his program at church, right? Like, y'all should come on over here, and we got scholarship opportunities available. And I actually went to Moody to study the Bible on a academic level. So I was like, I was new in my faith, and I was like, I want to do this scholastically, because that's just how I'm wired. Like, if I open up the Bible, I'm just gonna read it like it's like a novel, and it's not gonna really hit for me. So I was like, I want to study it, but I'm going to do it in a setting where I'm accountable. So I homework and all of those things. So I entered into the program just like the Bible study program. They had a regular, I don't even know the name of it, but it was just general Bible education class type thing. I wasn't even technically enrolled in the program because I was still in undergrad. And then I found out about the counseling program. And at the time, I was actually married to a pastor at the time. And I just kind of was like, oh, that would kind of be dope. Like, you do the pastor thing, I could do the mental health thing. And it just happened. It just happened. I applied for the program. And the more I read the brochure, and I was like, this actually feels good. It feels right. I prayed about it. I studied more about it. I was like, no, this is actually really dope. It's way more interesting than what I'm doing right now. I was in undergrad for business administration, and I just did that just because I think that's what everybody did in 2004. Is you go to school for business so you could work for a business, with the idea of maybe climbing a corporate ladder or something like that. I was
right.
You get out of high school, you go to college for business because that's what you do. And I was finishing. I got my degree in business management with a minor in small business administration. So God knew what he was doing with that, but I had no plans on starting a business. So it just really kind of happened by an accident. The whole truth is trying to prove myself worthy in a toxic relationship as well, trying to prove a point to somebody. It's a whole lot, Jason. You ain't really got all the time to be trying to therapize.
Right.
It was me trying to prove my worth into a relationship that was very unhealthy at the time. And I saw that as kind of a way to say I'm worthy and I'm on your level. I'm studying the Bible and I'm gonna one up you and study people too. So it just was it was one of those situations where God worked it all out for my good. I didn't necessarily knew what I was doing in the middle of it. But as things started to unfold, they felt right, and I kept going. And then I was getting kind of confirmation from like friends and family members and other church members that it was making sense. And then I kind of owned it for myself. And then, here we are, business owner therapist. Like,
okay. So one of the questions I want to ask, you kind of, well, you didn't kind of bring it up, but you mentioned God a lot. In the church, I should say, I won't say Christianity, but in the church, a lot of times it is frowned upon for Christians to go to therapy. What do you think about that? And did you have any backlash from people that you knew, you seeing that you were, a first lady at the time? Did you get any backlash from anybody about that?
No, I didn't. I know that to be something that is true. I think that we've progressed a lot in the church when it comes to accepting mental health. Like, there's a lot of progression. I've not been in church circles personally where it's been like, no, all you need is prayer and Jesus. But I've heard, and we even had sections in. I get it. I get it for sure. I know
you got a demon on you. You just need to pray it off.
Yeah, I get it for sure. We had a whole section in school because, like I said, I went to seminary. So they helped us to support why this was like complimentary and it doesn't contradict the Bible at all. So I know that I just don't have a personal experience with it, but I do think that now we've progressed a lot, but I do think that was a really big deal, particularly in the Black community, right? It was like you don't have enough faith. There was issues. There was questioning your faith. There was questioning like if you had some kind of demonic possession. Like, of course, we always kept things kind of bottled up in our community as well too. So we didn't even want to talk about Uncle Ray, who's literally like bipolar, or we got schizophrenics in our family. We don't want to talk about stuff like that, or we put another label on it, right?
He just touched.
Yeah, we put a whole nother label on it, or they find different outlets to try to cope with it, and then they add other things onto it, like addiction and things of that nature, because they're not dealing with their mental health. But I just feel like, in my personal experience, it's been very well accepted. But I do know, and I've supported other people through having felt very like pushed away by the church and told that there was something wrong with them. And that led to a lot of confusion and hurt, the big church hurt word. Like, that led to a lot of that because it was not something that was supported at all. So I definitely empathize, and I see where that's a tough space for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely see in the Bible where, a therapist, it doesn't necessarily say go to a therapist, but it definitely says seek wise counsel.
Yeah.
And, if you ain't got nobody that you feel is wise, except for somebody that you can go see a few times a week, I definitely think that's beneficial. Kevin, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Ciera. Appreciate you joining. Love your story so far. I just wanted to generally ask, based on your background and just the way you kind of fundamentally entered the space in your career, is that something that you specialize in services with your clients, like the intersectionality of your faith and just kind of being mentally aware of where you are in the space as well? Yeah,
it is. So I am a counselor who's Christian. Okay. I'm not exactly a Christian counselor. Okay. So I don't do just straight up nouthetic counseling where, I do have a Bible in my office, but it's not like, okay, here we go. We turning to Luke. We gonna get this thing together.
Right.
It's just, I tell people that this is my worldview. So a lot of the things that I believe is coming from this book, and how I'm going to navigate you is going to be based on this book. It's never going to contradict it. So that I need people to understand and know that about me. So I have clients that are very diverse. I have clients who don't believe at all. Like, they just not. And on my paperwork, it's like, would you like for me to incorporate this into our time? So that could look like, we have our open and closing prayer, as long as I have their permission to do so. Now, they can't stop me from doing what I do in my personal time, but as long as I have their permission, we'll open and close in prayer. Or, I'll send them with a homework assignment, say, hey, why don't you dig into this scripture and we'll see how we can apply this into our lives. But it's up to them if they want that completely integrated. But they also have to understand that this is my worldview, and like my language is my language.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might get an amen up out of me, or, you know, I read something about this in this book over here. And because I just want to be as most authentic as possible when I'm meeting with my clientele.
That's so interesting. And so that makes a lot of sense. So thank you for that explanation. So tell me, when you are, when clients come to you and are looking for your services and your leadership and guidance in their lives, are they coming with that in mind, or are most people coming saying like, "Hey, this is my first time. I'm seeking this," or did they kind of already know to come to you for these specific services?
It just depends on where they find me. So, you know, I got like, it's probably pretty much an even split. 25% of my clientele is referrals. 25% is maybe like social media. Another 25% is like online platforms where I share my information, like Apology Today. I do have some partnerships with local churches. So when I have like partnerships with churches, and they send people to me, so they know like, okay, this is somebody who we feel like you do need counseling, but it's outside of the scope of what we can do. So we gonna send you over this way. Yeah. So they have that understanding, but it really just depends. So a lot of my clientele that come from like Psychology Today, it's in there that I'm a Christian or I have a faith-based practice, but sometimes they just read the bio, or they have like a video clip that we can put out there. Cause I usually always ask to like, what made you come to me? Yeah. And like, oh, the video was cool. Or I like that you said this, that, and the other. Or some people do say, I seen that you were a Christian and I was interested in that. A lot of my clientele look like me. So that's something that's important to them as well. I was looking for an African-American therapist, female or males. They just want somebody that they feel like they're able to relate to.
Yeah. And it's crazy you say that too, because, you know, you talk about the stigma of therapy and mental health within the church, but there's also under that umbrella, what I would say is in minority communities, particularly a Black community, there's a stigma there. And so like first time clients with going to therapy, or like how people are coming to you, like what is your approach to make sure people feel comfortable in that nature to dissipate that stigma?
Yeah, so I'm affectionately known as the friendapist, right? Okay. So I really believe that rapport is the gateway to the therapeutic process. So we typically will spend our first session kicking it. Like, I don't even read the paperwork before you come in. We'll do it together because I don't want to create biases myself. I make sure you sign because I need to cover myself. But as far as the details and things of that nature, I like to go over with the person. And I know that for a lot of people, I have a lot of people who've never been to therapy before. And I want to try to make them feel comfortable, because I'm like, listen, this is a space where you have to air your dirty laundry to me. And I understand that you might not just sit down on the couch, even though Jason says there's some power in that couch.
That couch got the Holy Ghost in it. I'm telling you, you sit down on that couch, you just start talking.
You just start talking, realize it. Like, why am I crying here? So I work really hard to create like a safe atmosphere. Like, I just want I tell people like, listen, I'm not here to judge you. I don't got a heaven or a hell to put you in anyway. I'm not even charging you enough to do this. So just be honest with me. I know it might take some time for us to get there and for you to understand that this is okay. But that is kind of like one of the core things that I focus on, building that rapport, so that when you have to share some trauma that you maybe never even share with anybody in your entire life, you feel good and safe and confident doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was so. Just to rewind a little bit in this story. So she was saying where most people found her. I found her out in these streets.
This is true.
I was out here in these streets. I was working out during the quarantine, and she just walked past me. She was like, "You a trainer, or is this all this stuff just for you?" Because I had my battle rope and everything out. I was like, "I'm a trainer," and we got to talking, and she was like, "Yeah, I've been looking for a trainer." And she was like, "You look like you can get the job done." I said, "Well, I know I can. I know for a fact I can." And she was like, "Okay, well, how much you charge?" I told her how much I charged and everything. We ended up training. And then I found out she was a therapist. And one thing for me that I tell all my clients all the time is it starts up here. Fitness starts up here. You know what I'm saying? You can sit here and lose all the weight you want, but mentally, if you still that 350 pound person, you're not gonna be happy. Like that happiness that you think you're gonna get from losing the weight is not gonna be there because you're still not gonna be satisfied. You're still gonna have certain things that you're gonna find, the certain flaws that you're gonna find that'll stand out, and it just leads to disappointment. So the fact that we were able to link up like that and be in the same space, it's she been a blessing for my business also, because I was just training outside and outdoors. And suddenly I had too many clients to just keep training outside. I was like, I need some place to train. And she was like, well, I got somebody leaving my suite. If you can make something work inside of there, you can go in there. So I was like, bet, let me see it. And, rest has been history. But the fact, I always said that whenever I start a gym, I want to have an on-site therapist, because there's some stuff, I know when you're a personal trainer, you talking to your clients, a lot of times they just feel so open with you and whatnot. They'll tell you about everything, but some stuff is just above my pay grade to be trying to explain to them and whatnot. So I always say I wanted an on-site therapist at my gym, and it was just a blessing for that to be able to happen. So yeah, but so mental health right now, I know it has been, everybody has plenty of reason to be looking for a therapist and counselor or whatnot right now because of the pandemic and, things that may have happened to people close to them, things that may have happened to them personally. But prior to that, the mental health, like getting a therapist and stuff, that stuff starts picking up. Do you think that it was becoming just like trendy, or do you think people were really becoming more aware that they needed some therapy?
I do think it was trendy. I think it was very trendy. So I have a 17-year-old and I have like a 19-year-old sister. And so I just think every teen has been depressed, and I'm not trying to diminish or say that they're not, but I just think that it was like a buzzword, like, all depression and therapy, and, you got all the TikTok therapists that are not even therapists putting stuff out there. It was definitely a trend. It's trendy. And then you have celebrities, I think, that, come out, and I know their journeys are different and they're probably speaking their truth, but then people are influenced by them and they just jump on that bandwagon, and now everybody is an advocate for mental health. And some people, you don't even have a therapist. How are you out here advocating so tough? And I think it was trendy at one time.
I agree, because there's some people I know that they got a therapist, and I'm like, do you even be listening to the therapist? Like, has it been working? Like, are you
working?
Like you still the same for the last 6 months? Like, this is something that got to stick. The only difference is you write down everything now. You still just as evil. You just write everything down now. But I definitely know people who need who have been benefiting from it. But I definitely know a lot of people who are just doing it because that was the thing to do. I
think you got to be ready. You got to be in a space. Just because somebody tell you that, okay, you should go to therapy, you need to talk about it. I've had people that I've discharged people, and I'm like, you can come back when you're ready.
Ooh.
You're not ready.
Okay.
I feel like, so here's the thing with me. I'm definitely a results driven, right? So if you are my client forever, I feel like that makes me look bad. I'm trying to get you to a space and place like where you can fly on your own. I tell everybody when we first meet, I said, listen, my cap is 20 people. It's 20 people that I'm going to sit with on like a regular basis, right? And that's because personally for me, I take time out once a week to pray for all of my clients. I'm a very involved therapist as well. So I may have even a meme that comes to mind when I think about a session or something. I'm like, man, this literally speaks to what we're saying. And because I am like a faith-based, I might see a scripture or a word of a day. And on a random Tuesday, when your appointment is not till Thursday, I'm sending this to you. And I'm okay with that. I think that's the way God has me to operate my practice. But I also know that I can't welcome everybody in. But right. I do want to help people. So you only got your spot for so long. You got to get out. You know, but I don't want you to just leave. I want you to do the work and be okay with getting out. The natural progression of therapy for me is we do 4 to 6 weeks weekly. Then we're going to go bi-weekly for an additional 2 to 3 months, just depending on, because, you know, some certain things are heavier than others. We're going to go bi-weekly for 2 to 3 months. And then after that, we're going to go to monthly. And then after that, you should only be sending me Merry Christmas text messages at that. You know, like,
happy birthday.
Or sending me a picture of the kid, like, look, or vow renewals. We made it, Ciera. Hallelujah. Like, you know, that's the type of stuff that I want. And of course, there's flexibility with it, because life happens. Life doesn't stop because you decide to deal with one thing. You always have things that's going to go on compound on top of that. But I feel like if you are digging in, you're doing the work, I'm going to do my part. I always tell people, like, look, I'm highly invested. So there is a requirement that you are highly invested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be responsible for your healing alone.
Mm-hmm.
We come to a session where we just sitting here and I'm just looking at you because you didn't do the homework from the last session. So I don't feel like we need to move on.
Yeah.
But you still gonna cash at me at the end of this. So what we gonna do?
Yeah. Well, Ciera, let me ask you about that, because I've had definitely interesting involvements with therapists that I've communicated with or just try to kick off conversations with. And I think I've been in a space where, like, I know I want to go. I know I want to be there. There's a whole load of stuff behind it that I really want to unpack and do. And so, but one of the questions I always get is, like, what's your goal here? And it's like a kind of a loaded question, because like I don't even know how to bundle all that up and say one goal. You know what I mean? There's many things I want to break down. And like you said earlier, it's really hard to build that trust and transparency through it. And so I feel like it takes a few sessions to do that. So what kind of advice would you give from a therapist point of view to new clients coming in, wanting to unpack things, not super forward and super candid coming through, but knowing they want to, like, get some wins here so they can unload and list. They have a host of things they want to address.
You know, I feel like when you're looking for a therapist, I think you might have to, if I can use this word loosely, date a few of them.
Okay.
Like your vet, let's say vet. You're going to date a few of them. And I've had people where I've been therapist number 3 because number 1 and number 2. Then when I found my therapist, she was number 4. I went to somebody and she was too buttoned up for me. And I was like, I just don't feel like I could tell you about the hood rat things that I did back in the Imagine me. So
I can't tell you about the River Rock.
I cannot. Or Rouge Park. You know. So I feel like, you know, it's important that you do your research. You know, most therapists have some type of platform, Psychology Today, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or something for you to kind of dig into who they are as a person. Therapists should offer you some type of a consultation. I offer a 15-minute free consultation. So you get to talk to me and see, like, that's your job that's your time to interview me. What do you want to know? What do you think how do you think that I could help you? But I think maybe to speak more to your question, I think it's more of the therapist's job to try to figure out how and what we need to unpack. So a question that I usually ask is, what brought you here? Because you might not know what you want per se, but everybody knows what brought you here. Like, I'm tired. I got sick and tired of feeling like this. So my tagline is, for elevated counseling, I really want to push everybody to be elevated to the very best version of themselves. I knew I wanted something better. I was ready to get out of this. And so I find when I ask people that question, they have more information to tell me than to say what your goal is. And you give me some blanket, like, to be healthy. But what is healthy? Like, or in general, I want to communicate better, or I want to deal with my anxiety. But why? So why power is always going to be better than willpower anyway, right? So why are you here? Like right now on my couch, getting ready to pay me some money out your pocket. Why are you here? Then they come up with an answer, because it's like, I do need to figure out why I'm sitting right here. And then that lets me know what they expect from me. I want to talk about something. I want to deal with my drama. I want to deal with my daddy issues, mommy issues. I'm realizing that I have all these terrible relationships. I actually think I might be the common denominator. Like, you have to come up with some stuff. Like, what do you want me to do for you? Because I'm not just about you sitting there. Like talk therapy, I understand it's a good space for it. Catharsis, let it out. But it's like, okay, now what? We got to do something.
Yeah.
We got to do something. So I think that responsibility falls a little bit more on the therapist than it does on you, because they're supposed to be the expert in the field. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know that you don't like how you feel, but you don't know what your goals are. Like, what are those things? That's my job.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that and that's another reason why we mesh so well with the, you know, the training and the therapy, is because I have the same mentality with my clients. Like, you know, like you said, you know, you want them to do the work, and I tell them all the time, I can't want this more than you want it. You know what I'm saying? I can't want this more than you. You got to do the work. I can only tell you what to do, but me telling you to do push-ups ain't gonna get you a bigger chest. You know what I'm saying? Me telling you to do squats ain't gonna get you a bigger booty. You got to actually do the squats. You know, even though squats technically aren't the best exercise for it. That's not what this is about. But no, it's like it all coincides. You know, you gotta actually want to be helped. You gotta actually want to change. And I think some of those people that I was speaking on before, where I say, you know, they just evil, they just write stuff down, you know, they still the same person. I feel like there's the trendy. They didn't necessarily want to change. They wanted to see what it was about. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with personal. It's a lot of stuff that kind of everybody, it goes the same way. It's like, you know, personal training, they don't necessarily want to train. They want to see what it's about. Certain jobs, they don't necessarily want to work there. They just want to see what it's about because they see everybody else is doing it. They making money doing it.
It's an ego thing too. I have a therapist. I go to therapy. Like you saying something because you go to therapy. What are you working though? What y'all doing?
Yeah, you don't have a bad name right now. You need to apologize. Let me know who they are so I can stay away. But yeah, so I know you saw in the news recently. I think I told you about this earlier today about Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, who withdrew from the French Open and then the Berlin Open. Is that what it's called? The Berlin tournament, whatever, recently. And they're saying that there's a good chance she's going to pull out of Wimbledon also because of mental health. Now, I see a lot of celebrities that people were saying were just crazy. Apparently, they have mental health issues and whatnot. And I've been listening a lot recently to different celebrities. You know, there was her, Kyrie Irving at one point was talking about he needed to take a break for mental health. I was listening to a podcast. Lupe Fiasco was saying how he had issues with his mental health at a certain point in time of his career. And then Royce the 5'9" is just a huge, you know, he used to be an alcoholic and everything. Shout out to Royce. But he used to be an alcoholic and everything, and he's a huge advocate for mental health. Going back to where you said they see celebrities doing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of celebrities that are they're saying they have a therapist or they're talking this mental health stuff, but then we go to like the Kanye West, where he's been known to have a mental illness for a while now. You know, it's been known that he's had bipolar disorder for a while. But to some degree, it kind of seems like he uses that as I don't want to say excuse, but like he hides behind it a lot of times when he does all this stuff. You know, so how long can people really, like, you know, hide behind that before it's time for them to actually, like, you know, is that like themselves they need to figure it out? Or do you feel like at some point do people need they circle to step in and be like, yo, you need to get some help because you can't just keep saying, oh, I did this because of this. I'm like, yeah, it's been 6 years now. Like, it's time for you to change. Like, how important is having, I guess that's a question I'm trying to ask. How important is it to have a circle to push you to try to get help versus, you know, you just trying to figure it out on your own? Or is it important?
I had an answer until you said to push you. Because I don't think that no matter how good your circle is, they can't necessarily push you into it. It really depends on like what your diagnosis is. So when you talk about a Kanye West, I think there's multiple diagnoses that go along with that. So when you say, okay, yeah, bipolar disorder, but then you couple that with narcissism, he's not going to necessarily accept nor acknowledge that this is something. And then, you know, he's a smart individual. So he's like, well, let me capitalize on this situation here. And he's a person of power. He's a person of influence. So it's a tough space for him to be in. I think that, you know, his family, I'm sure those people in his circle have strongly encouraged him to go ahead and get some help. But it's one of those things where you have to want it, unless you are, you know, of course, really causing some harm to yourself or somebody else. Then a loved one, a wife or a parent can get you committed. But, you know, you can get out of there for good behavior too. So, you know,
yeah,
I think a support system is very important no matter what, though. But nobody can push people into it, especially when it's like severe mental health concerns. There's got to be something that we really want to work on for ourselves. And it might take some constant kind of like, okay, hey, mentioning, acknowledging, encouraging for somebody to do something like that. But oftentimes we just learn how to not show you are crazy, because I hear you come with this, you need to go get some help. Let me just stay away from you. Like, right. You know what I mean? But God created us to have community and accountability. So like these circles are very important, but those individuals have to be healthy individuals as well too. Because that's one thing, like if you crazy, you can't tell me I'm crazy. I'm looking at you like, you just did the same thing I did last week anyway. So it's I don't have an answer, Jason. I'm sorry. I'm rambling because I'm like, no, I don't know.
I think you hit something there as well where you talk about the community. You know, a lot of it is steered from trauma, and our community has a lot of trauma, and so we're just getting the after effects of being raised in an environment that kind of has those things going on. We're taking that, we're carrying it on, and so it sounds like it's your role to kind of parse that through, break that up, and give us the tools to be able to succeed through that and beyond it.
Yeah, I think a therapist that can really help you, that would be a good role for them to take on. Like kind of dismantle certain beliefs, destigmatizing certain areas, educating you on exactly how you can manage things in life. You know, it's my personal belief that certain things you'll just live with, you know, like that thorn. But you learn how to be an effective manager of it. Like you learn tools and techniques, because some things we can't just erase out of our life. Like God can do whatever he want to do. You know, he can take it completely away. But for the most part, like I don't have a magic wand. I can't erase your trauma. I can't tell you that by the time we done working with each other, you won't ever be triggered. But I can equip you to learn how to handle those triggers in such a way that they don't like impede on your daily living. That's the big problem. We are like, our lives is interrupted by those triggers. Like I said, I was in an unhealthy relationship and I still get triggered. And I've had conversations. It's like, well, did you heal enough? Or are you over that person? That was 7 years of my life. Like 7 of the last years of my life. Not like even the first 7 years of my life. 7 of the last years of my life. So yeah, certain things will still kind of bother me. But a pastor said it like this. You know, you heal when you can remember that you were hurt, but you don't remember how bad it felt. And I like that, because I'm like, yeah, because I just can't not remember these things. Like, that's not gonna, I'll give you, I personalize because I do this a lot. My ex had a child outside of the marriage, right? So certain situations, they'll play that on, you know, that scenario plays out a lot, unfortunately, on TV and, you know, in the news or in hot topics. When I see that, I just be like, that did happen. But I'll be like, well, I'm able to move beyond it, right? I don't take a moment to soak in that, but it does. I do recall that was an experience that I had. But I believe that through my own healing, I'm able to redirect that negative thought to, look how faithful God is.
Yeah.
You know, and able to pull out other situations. Like, thank God I didn't have a child. Then we both I'd have been stuck. You know, it's
right.
certain situations, it's certain things that I lean into versus that was terrible. Man, let me go see what he's doing. That's always our instant thing. Let me see what he's doing now, the little baby. Like, I don't go that route. I go towards like, whew, won't he do it?
Yeah, got you out of there.
Yeah.
Got you out of there. So going back to those the athletes and whatnot, what do you have any do you have any thoughts? I was gonna ask what are your thoughts on it, but what do you have any thoughts on those situations, specifically Naomi Osaka? I don't know if you read up on that situation and you know with her, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think we put these celebrities, athletes, whatever, we put them on way too high of a pedestal. Way too high of a pedestal. So because she's an amazing tennis player, like she has to be a perfect human. Like,
this is true.
like,
that's exactly what I was gonna say if you didn't say it. But
yeah, like which one of the athletes said that they're not a role model, they're a basketball player? Who said that, Jason? I know you know.
That was who said
Magic
that?
Johnson?
I don't think was it Magic? I can't remember.
One of the greats said, "Listen, I'm a basketball player. I'm not your kid's role model. Like that's not what I signed up for." And I think we put too much responsibility on them to be perfect. We put them on too high of a pedestal because they've carved out a lane that they're great in. They're excellent in this area of life. And so we just automatically assume that they have every area of life together, which I don't know why we think that, because there's countless celebrities that we see fall from glory, like literally every single day. Like, what?
It's because we think money solves all the problems. And once they see they got a bunch of money, they ain't got no problems.
They don't have no problems. Exactly. Yeah. So I just think that it took a lot of courage for her to say something like that, to make that decision. I did notice that she was fined like $15,000, which I think is ridiculous that you would fine me for something like that. I mean, I guess the business side is like they probably lost some money, but I just think it's ridiculous. Like she don't get FMLA. We know.
Right.
Tell her to call me. I'll write you a letter, sis. Like we can get you FMLA. But I think it's just ridiculous that she couldn't do something like that to protect herself. And I just imagine, I know like the pressures that I feel pressure to present a certain way. And I got like 1,500 followers. So I know she has to feel a pressure with having millions of followers. You got little girls that's probably dressing up like you and wanting to aspire to be like you and do these things, but to still take the time back to say, prioritize myself. I think it's a great modeling for us to say, like, this is about my self-care. I can only put out what's in me. And like, so what y'all want me to do? Y'all want me to self-sacrifice for the sport? I won't do it.
And not to mention that she's only 23.
True.
She's only 23 years old. So it's like she's immensely famous right now, making a bunch of money. She already got negative press thrown at her because she beat Serena Williams a few years ago. They were all on her head about that. And now there's this. It's like, you know, celebrities are people too at the end of the day. That's what people need to really realize. And we put them on such a high pedestal because you see the majority of the time you'll their PR people or whatever, they'll put out what they want you to see, which is all the good stuff they got going on. All the, you know, them driving the fancy cars, living the life, going to those galas and events and whatnot. But you know, shoot, Michael Jackson is a great example of somebody who looked like he had it all, but dude was miserable for the most part, you know, because he didn't have no childhood and all that stuff. It's a lot of celebrities. Friggin', I don't know if you remember. This is a super throwback. You probably don't remember. There's a singer named Houston. He had one hit song. It was with Chingy and Nate Dogg, and everybody just thought he was the man when he had that one song. But dude got depressed. Like he cut his eye out or something like that in the hotel room.
Ooh,
like, that's all. The song's called "I Like That." I only remember it right now because I was watching.
I like that.
That song, yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
I
all.
know that one. Hey.
Yeah,
I didn't know that there was nobody other than Chingy on there.
yeah, which was one of the worst verses I've heard in my life, rap verses I've heard in my life. But that's not what we're talking about today. But that does need to be a topic. I need to write that down. But yeah, no, the singer's name was Houston. He cut his eye out. He cut his eye out because he was depressed and whatnot after the song came out or whatnot. So it is because of all the pressure they put on each other. Like, like I said, I was listening to Lupe Fiasco's podcast, and he was telling the story of how he felt like he had very good relationships with a lot of people in the industry, like at BET and everything. And while he was touring for his second album, he caught pneumonia. And so he was in the hospital, and then he got out the hospital, but he was recovering. And somebody that he thought he had a really good relationship with at BET called him up. He was like, "Hey, we want you to come down here and perform Superstar at Spring Bling." And he was like, "I'm recovering. I can't do it. Maybe next time." And the dude was like, "If you don't come down here and perform it, we ain't never going to play none of your stuff on BET again." And it's like, this is at the beginning of his, like, his first album was a good album, but this is when he really started becoming like, oh, everybody love Lupe.
Yeah.
And it's like, we put him on he's up on this pedestal so high. It's like, yo, why hasn't he put out any more music? And he basically said he was done with the music industry after that. He put out some stuff because he was contractually obligated, but he basically was like, I was done with the music industry after that. And he was in a horrible place, and you can hear it in his music. So it's like, people got to realize that people tend to forget that celebrities are human beings too. We put them on such a high pedestal, like as soon as they start talking about things other than what they're famous for, they get criticized, like when they told LeBron to shut up and dribble because he was talking about, social injustices. There was another NBA player, I can't remember who it was, but another NBA player got mad at Kyrie because he was talking about how he wanted to take care of his mental health and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, I just feel like we just got to remember, regardless how much money you got, how famous you are, how popular you are, we all human, and we all go through things. At the end of the day.
And I feel like this might be a complete overstatement, but I can see how somebody who has invested so much time into a craft, basketball, singing, rapping, whatever, sports, they might have been a little bit more lax in other areas, right? Like it's very hard to juggle a lot of things, and when you look at a person who's like exceptional in certain areas, like this young lady is like number 2 in the world. She beat Serena, like that was our hero. Like you beat Serena at probably like 20. Like I can just imagine sis just stayed with a tennis ball, just no matter what, breakfast, like hitting tennis balls, like all day, every day. Like this, sometimes I can see, I'm not saying this is for everybody, I'm not blanketing anybody who's like exceptional in an area, but I can see where an imbalance might exist. Like I know that there's imbalances in my life. I feel like there's been some seasons where I'm like, I'm killing this therapy game. And then it's like, oh, yep, but I don't eat well at all because I don't have time because I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing sessions, I'm doing speaking engagements, I'm out here putting out content. And then as I'm putting out content, I'm eating French fries, right?
Yeah, I seen that box of French fries inside the trash can.
Jason, really? Where's HIPAA? Like, but that's true. So, and I was training with Jason, and we came to a space where I'm like, I got a lot going on, and he tried to therapize me. Like, you got to focus, you got to get the balance. It's the balance in life. So I can see where celebrities will have that kind of an imbalance. I can see how it's highly likely that they might have an imbalance, and they might not have somebody that's telling them like focus on this, because they probably got a whole bunch of people that's like, you need to make it, let's do this, keep doing this, wake up, dribble, go to sleep, dribbling, like all kinds of things. So I can definitely see
I think it's that, and then I think a lot of them is just what it is they really want in life. You're gonna you can't be that good at something, and like you said, be good at everything in your life. You're gonna if you want to be that good at something, and you're spending all them hours away from home, and you're married with a family or something like that, it's gonna take a hit. I was watching what was I watching? I was watching the Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary, and when he got signed to the WWF at the time, he was at the top, and he wanted to stay at the top. But they're on the road. I think they said 360 days out of the year.
Wow.
There's only 5 days where they're at home, and if they just so happen to be touring in a city close to where they live at, then they can see their family, or if they fly their family out with them. But they also said what they typically do is they'll fly to a certain area, and then they'll drive to the rest of the places. So it's not like their family is with them all the time. They're doing a bunch of shows on the East Coast. They'll fly to New York, do their show at Madison Square Garden, then they'll drive to Philly, then drive to Jersey, drive to Boston, wherever the case may be, all from there. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, I believe, went through two different marriages. He went through 2 marriages because he just knew he was willing to sacrifice that time at home and the time away from his kids so he could stay at the top at that time until he got hurt. And he got hurt, and then he got sent home, and that's when he really started thinking about what it was a sacrifice. But some people are willing to make that sacrifice just because that's really what they want. But then there's those other people like the Jacksons who had to make them sacrifices because somebody wanted it for
them. Yeah.
And that's why they all grew up how they grew up. You know what I'm saying? Jermaine looks like a California raisin in the face. Nobody told him to stop putting his hair like that. Maybe he just likes it that way, but that's because he was raised without somebody to tell him any better.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Well, this was a great talk, Ciera. Is there anything? Well, first of all, if there are any people on here who would like to ask Ciera a question, anybody watching, go ahead and put it in the comments. And if we don't get to answer it today, then I will most definitely have an answer for y'all from her in the future.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Kev, you had something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. I know we're wrapping up, but Ciera, appreciate you being on the show. I just was just questioning about your thoughts on couples therapy, marital kind of therapy, counseling type things. I know that is as mental health and those type of health things are coming to the forefront. A lot of people are coming in those ways. And can you just talk about when it's good for a couple or people in a relationship? It doesn't have to be a couple, obviously, or good for people and not good for them as well.
Not good for them. I think it's always good. People can benefit from it. If you get a right therapist, any type of couples or just relationship counseling can be helpful, because we talk about things like how to have healthy conflict, how to do healthy conflict resolution, how to communicate with each other. You get an understanding of just, how we can kind of live together in unity, no matter what the dynamic is, even if that's mother daughter or father. I've had fathers and their children come and do relationship counseling, so it doesn't necessarily have to be
right.
Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or things of that nature. Those are not the only kind of relationships that have problems. So we talk about fundamentals of how we can live in harmoniously. So I think where it's not good, where it cannot be good, if it's used as a form of manipulation, or kind of if you're trying to leverage something. So sometimes I've actually turned this away. Sometimes I'll have a person come to me and say, my partner told me I need to go to therapy. And they're like, I'm completely fine. It's them. But if I don't go to therapy, we're going to break up, right? Excuse me. And I think that that's so manipulative to a degree, because it's you can't just say, here, it's not like the shoe doctor, this is broke, fix it. Like, no, you know, this is a couples. If you're having conflict in the relationship, absolutely there's work that can be done on each individual, but you can't sit over and say, I'm fine, and you need to go to therapy. I just think that it's very manipulative and that it can be kind of dangerous in that way. And, you know, I've had this conversation. I said, here's a risk that you run when you send one person to therapy and you're not even willing to go as a couple or even look at yourself. They go to therapy, they get healed, and they realize that you're the problem. So now they coming back home, and they got a different eye, they got a third eye, and they start dropping words like, that's gaslighting, or that's manipulation, you're projecting, stop deflecting. And now this person is like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Like, now you get a healthy individual, and your stuff is like emphasized, right? It shines a light on just how unhealthy you are in a scenario. So I think sometimes that could be pretty problematic. You send your partner to therapy, and they link up with a good therapist, because a good therapist is going to say, well, I can't do couples counseling with you because that person is not here to defend themselves. So that's not fair. But we can talk about how you can set effective, healthy boundaries in your life. We can talk about how you can be a good communicator. So now you come with all these tools and great, healthy things about you. And if that other person is not all in with that, it might not work.
Yeah.
And would you say should couples at some point, couples or people in relationships, parents, child, kind of brother, sister, like, is there opportunities for everyone to do that? Should everyone have an opportunity to do that? Or is it really only based on trauma, or maybe even transitional events are really the opportunities for that?
Yeah, no, I think therapy can be done as like a wellness check as well. Okay. You don't have to go in points of crisis. You can do it as a point of wellness. I mean, I go to the dentist and I do it every 6 months, right, to get my teeth clean. They don't necessarily feel like they're dirty. I mean, they do find some stuff when they get there, but I go, right? Yeah. I don't just go when I have a cavity. I do that regularly. They have regular wellness checks at your physician, right? Just to kind of see. As a woman, we do annual checkups. Like, you don't necessarily have to be in a crisis or a problem, but it's suggested that you do those things. So I think that people can benefit from just going in and checking in with the therapist and see, like, it's an investment in yourself at some point, right? So therapy can help you with communication. It can help you with conflict resolution. It can help you with just how to express yourself in a healthy way. So those are tools for life. Like, those are tools just for everyday living. It doesn't have to be we into a fight. Let me break out my I feel statements. But just every single day, if I'm speaking to you and respecting you as a person, if I'm doing reflective listening, things like that, which can definitely help ease tension in a relationship. But if I'm doing it every single day, or that's just how I communicate, I think that can build a really healthy relationship, or a solid one.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, you know, going to therapy or counseling or whatever, is you don't want to wait till your car start making noise to go get it checked out. You want to make sure, you know, you go take care of it first. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Get the oil change, get everything else, because it start grinding already. You know, there's already a problem.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. So that's the way I look at it. You know, that's the way I look at a lot of things. Though I'm very proactive and not reactive. Yeah. So, you know, but thank you, Ciera, for coming on today. I appreciate it. Where can people find you at, Ciera?
I am on Psychology Today as Ciera Renee, or Elevated Counseling and Coaching. You can find me on Facebook, Elevated Counseling and Coaching. Instagram is Elevated Counseling Coaching. You can just hit me up directly, 734-956-0616. You might catch me out in these streets like Jason did, you know.
In these streets, baby.
I'm everywhere. I would love to say hello to you. I got an email. I've got a website, elevatedcounselingandcoaching.com, and everything is linked on there. Yeah, I'm on all these platforms. If you put up Elevated Counseling, you'll find me. If you find Ciera Renee, you'll find me.
Okay.
Google me.
Any upcoming speaking events that you have, or workshops?
No, so not on the books for June. I'm thinking about August. I want to do some events under retail therapy. I got an idea for a retail therapy event. So I haven't really kind of ventured off into that just yet because I don't like the Zoom, not necessarily. I like to be in person. So I haven't really set anything up like that, but it's definitely something that I guess as people are more comfortable with in-person events, that it'll be coming out soon.
Cool. So do you have any words of wisdom, advice, or anything that you would like to give to good people before we leave?
More than what I said? Like,
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
I feel like this world, especially like our social media culture, right? Everybody is looking at everybody's highlight reel. And I think that is one of the biggest barriers that we have. Everybody want to do something like somebody else. And it's not enough people being their true, authentic self. Whatever that looks like, whatever that looks like, I just want to encourage people. I want to challenge them, push them, like just show up as yourself. The world needs you. So just show up as yourself. And I feel like this is a personal journey for me too. Like that's when you feel the most alive. That's when you feel like you can thrive, when you are just like living in a space where you just unapologetically yourself and just courageously doing what makes you feel good. Because I think we have so much pressure to do like everybody else. And that's just not the way to live.
I concur. Well, thank you, Ciera. Kev, do you got anything coming up?
Yeah, man. So for all the kids in Detroit, all the parents, guardians, loved ones, friends, neighbors, we are running a track camp at Tendo Activity Center. If you want to sign your kids up for a nominal fee of $20 for the summer, go to embracesports.org. That's embracesportz.org and sign your kids up, man. We're doing track. We're teaching them non-traditional sports. We got lacrosse on the books. We're just finishing up soccer camp as well. We're just trying to show love to the city the same way the city showed love to us. And so definitely trying to do that. Y'all can hit me up at Hercules Jackson on Instagram or at _KevB_ on Twitter.
All right. And me, I'm getting booked out here in these streets. So you can see me, I got a show. I believe I got a show on Father's Day. I got a show this Friday, but it is a private show. I may talk about that show on the next episode because it's actually a private show. I was invited by the PR person for a celebrity. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is at the moment. I have to get clearance, but that's on Friday. First Wednesday in July, I got a show. I got booked in Indiana in August. I'm out. Hey, your boy
Catch me
is
outside.
back.
How about that? Hey.
Your boy is back out here in these streets. So yeah, booked and busy.
Where's the Father's Day show at?
Father's Day show, I believe, is in Flint. It's in Flint.
You know where? Hey, let the people know.
I don't know the venue yet. They just asked me. They said, "Hey, can you do a show on the 20th?" And then I got another show in July. I don't know the exact date yet. Okay. I was like, "All right, I got you." So, so I'm booked. I am. Well, I'll talk about my personal training stuff on next week because we ain't got all day to talk about it. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Once again, thank both of you guys for being on. I really appreciate y'all joining for today's discussion. I hope everybody who watched learned something and reach out to Ciera. Like I said, she's a very good therapist and counselor and a very awesome individual. Other than that, I will see y'all next week. Peace out.
Bye.